Hello there everyone, welcome to John Geeks, the channel where I, John, talk about something geeky. Today, we're going to be doing another Eaglemoss Starship Collection, yada yada yada, but we're going to be doing something a bit different, because as you can see, it's not going to be a Federation ship. A first. Today, we're going to be looking at the Klingons. No, not those Klingons, the older Klingons. No, not those Klingons, the kind of in the middle Klingon, the Wharf Klingons, those ones. Yeah, in the 24th century they had some ships and they looked kind of like this. I'm going to do a quick plug now at this point. If at any point you are enjoying the video and you're like, hey, I'd like to watch some more of that, you can subscribe by clicking on the red com badge down in one of the corners. I've not decided where I'm going to put it yet. With that out of the way, this is the Vorcha class, and I'm not using my accents properly with that one, Klingon attack cruiser. And it's a beautifully detailed model, but first things first, we're going to look at this instead. This is the magazine that comes with the actual collection, hoobly doobly. And again, we're just going to kind of quickly saw through it because as I've illustrated, these are usually littered with errors, unfortunately. But very pretty renders, so that's the thing. I'm assuming that they're mainly thinking that we're just going to look through them and be like, ooh, pretty picture, ooh, pretty picture, ooh, pretty picture, put it down, and then play with the model for the rest of the night. And you know what? They wouldn't be wrong. This was issue 20, so this was some time ago. And there's some pretty pictures there. Just says Klingon attack cruiser here, and it gives us the details. It's the Vorcha class. That's the best attempt I'm going to make. It was launched in the 24th century. It was 481 metres long, so it was a bit small in the Galaxy class. Does that put it in par with the Nebula? I think it does. And it was warp 9.6, so it could keep up with a Galaxy. And then we've got some more renders inside, all very beautiful. It was built at the Kronos Orbital Factory Base. I never know quite how to pronounce that one. It had 26 decks, a crew of 1,900, which is quite excessive, disruptor cannons and photon torpedo launchers. Lovely. And then it's got an entire feature about the Vorcha class. They made up ships as part of the 9th Fleet during the Dominion War. This was a combined force of Alpha Quadrant ships led by General Martok. An exchange of technology between the Federation and the Klingons resulted in a new warp nacelle design on the Vorcha class. Earlier Klingon starships featured rectangular nacelles that emitted a green or cyan colour, but they were now more rounded and featured red buzzard collectors at the end. How exciting. And yes, there's a whole write-up which basically talks about what I just said in more detail. Lots of pictures. This is one of those ships which did actually feature quite a bit, so obviously you can see how much more detail there is from some of the other magazines that we've had a look at in the past. And it's talking about Gowron there, Mr. Bulgy Eyes himself. I always thought it was unusual that his head, I don't want to say gash, but you know what I mean, kind of looks like the Klingon Imperial logo a little bit. I always thought that was an odd choice. And then we have the overview. So we've got the forward bridge, a weapons platform, a main disruptor, an impulse engine up here. You can't quite see properly, can you? Because it's, yeah. Basically, it's just talking about it. Buzzard collectors and radiator baffles? Okay, cool. Great. Awesome. And reinventing the Klingons. This is it talking about... I actually inadvertently talked about this at the start of the video. So the Klingons used to be, frankly, racist caricatures, and they turned into that. And this is talking about that. New inspiration. In the original series, the Klingons had clearly been Star Trek's version of the Russians. The parallel was so obvious that John Kulikos, the first actor to play a major Klingon role, had even suggested basing the makeup for Kor on Genghis Khan. But by the 1990s, things had moved on, and Moore felt the metaphor had become outdated. Okay, well, fair enough. I mean, it's sometimes, you know, these kind of things don't become outdated, like how they recently revived the original Cybermen in Doctor Who. That concept is as terrifying as it will ever be. The Duras family is talking about Kales as well, who's actually become a pivotal character again, albeit in absentia, and designing the Vorcha class itself. I quite like that they actually made a new ship for the Klingons, because what they've been doing up until that point, the Enterprise E, a model I will probably never get my hands on because it's bloody rare as tits. Yeah, I do like that they made a new Klingon ship, because up until this point, apart from the Enterprise D, they'd basically been making just use of old models from the films, which made little sense. Anyway, that's the magazine out of the way. We'll bring you back in. I'm going to close in on you a little bit as well. I'm making this sound sinister, aren't I? Oh, focus, focus. Yes. Okay, cool. So, let's get... Ooh, okay. So that's not going to go anywhere in a hurry. So this is the actual ship. And you can see it takes a lot of inspiration from the original Birds of Prey. You know, the same basic overlay. You've got the bridge module, I think that's the bridge module there, and that's some kind of command deck or something. You've got the neck section, and then you've got these lovely wings. You've got the Klingon logo, which I was talking about earlier. These are radiator baffles, apparently. This entire thing is a weapons pod. It's also really bloody sharp, so be careful with that. You've got the nacelles, which do have translucent red plastic, so you can shine light through those if you so wish. You've got the impulse engines there, which again I think are actually... Are they? Or is that just paint? I think that's actually translucent plastic. How bizarre. And you've got sort of impulse intakes here. I quite like that forward view myself. I think that's very dynamic. Yes. I've always thought that bit there might be a deflector or something of the nature. So, I always talk about which bits are metal and which bits are plastic. Pretty much the entire thing is a lump of metal, essentially. The nacelles are plastic, and some of these little add-ons are plastic as well, but overall, the whole thing is basically one piece of plastic. It's hollowed out at the bottom and then filled in with plastic to kind of, I don't know, kind of make it cheaper, I suppose, I don't know. And then you've got all the detailing on the back here as well, so you've got the Klingonese, I should say, more of the logos, and just general writing and sort of the more tribal Aztec patterning that you got on the Klingon ships themselves. Windows all line up where they are supposed to be. There's no like spaces and then paint just, you know, jammed where it's not supposed to be. There is a bit of a fragile bit here because it's basically so thin. There's like a little prong there that could potentially break off, but it should be okay. The rest of these are metal as well. You could actually probably impale someone on this if you wanted to, which would be very Klingon of you. I've always admired the look of this one. I've just thought it looks very, very energetic. I don't know how else to describe it. You know, it takes the classic design, it just evolves it, which I've always been a fan of. I mean, I think this design could still happily work in a show now, you know, maybe with some upgraded lighting and all the rest of it, but even so, I think that's one for the ages. But what do you think of the Klingon ships? Let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, please do thumb it up, and as I said at the start, if you've enjoyed this video, do check a few more out. If you enjoy them as well, then do subscribe to the channel. That would be amazing, and it also gives me an impetus to do more of these, because that means that people don't hate the sound of my voice. I mean, they do, but you get what I mean.